It's time I show you who I truly am!
Never.
Starfleet lit the fire and left us to burn.
Yeah, we know how. Voice, good for us, bad for you.
Shall I ready the brig? Never.
Starfleet lit the fire and left us to burn.
Progeny. Yes, that's right. Star Trek Prodigy's 10th episode of the first season is over. It was called A Moral Star Part 2, but we're just getting started here tonight on Live Long and Podcast as we continue our coverage of this season. I'm Dave Mader, joined with Davan Skelhorn from Locutors of Trek, my cousin and yours. How are you doing tonight, Davan?
And also someone's progeny.
Progeny. Yes.
I'm not doing too bad. Sorry we're late. It's all entirely my fault, everybody.
It's okay. There was miscommunications. We normally wouldn't be on this early, but now we're into Big Brother season, Davan, and I have Big Brother podcast to get to tonight. So, that's I said,
You're
hey,
a busy man.
Can we move it up a little bit earlier? And, you're in the Atlantic time zone. I'm in the Eastern time zone. So there's different communications. Regrets from Jessica Chan, who, she's got to get the babies to bed tonight. She was hoping to make it, but she couldn't quite squeeze it in. But you are missed tonight, Jessica, and we hope to catch up with you about Star Trek Prodigy when we get to the next part of this first season. But,
1C.
1C is it? This is the end of 1B, I guess.
I like these new long Star Trek seasons.
Yeah.
Wish we were still watching DS9 season 7, like S.
Yeah. I don't know. We can go through like the episode in like sort of the order of things happen, but like there was sort of like this ending scene, which I don't know. It kind of it was a big deal for me for some reason. Like, even though we've had hologram Janeway since episode 1, and she's, it's been Kate Mulgrew the whole way along, there was something a little bit different to get real Janeway, original recipe Janeway, Admiral Janeway, if you will. She's back, and she's looking for Chakotay. She's gonna find him.
I'm coming, Chakotay.
Chakotay. She's Admiral Janeway. She's still holding that rank since we last saw her in Star Trek Nemesis when she was given Picard that assignment to go to Romulus. That was the last time we kind of actually saw her. These and a whole new uniform. And I said to Jane, "What did you think? What did you think of the new uniform, Jane?" And she was like, "I don't know. It was a Starfleet uniform. It was red and black. What do you want from me?" I was like, "Well, it's different."
What about the contours and the
Yeah, well, like it's a little bit like the Lower Decks uniform in all reality, although it's some differences. It's got the comm badge that's more reminiscent of like All Good Things or Endgame, or even what they were doing in Star Trek Picard.
that Tellarite in the back's got an interesting one on.
Yeah, he's wearing a variant, some kind of medical variant, I think. It's very glib, and this is not even Voyager. This is the Dauntless that Janeway is in command of. So she looks like she has a new ship, but that's a very quick part at the end here. So for us who are maybe fans of Voyager and the older Trek, that's exciting for us to kind of get that connection here. But we also get this whole conclusion here of a moral star, like they had to come back. And I guess, I don't know if we're going to get more of the Diviner storyline after this, Davan, or not.
I think he's done.
Do you think that was the end of the Diviner? Or do you think he served his purpose?
Well,
now?
I mean, he could come back as like a guest character if Gwyn. Are we just spoiling everything? Sure, why not? We already spoiled.
Yeah, we're spoiling everything.
Yeah,
by
yeah.
the way, I led with the biggest spoiler of all right to start.
Yeah. So if she gets all her memories back, because she has that memory wipe there at the end, then maybe she'll go seek him out to try to ask him more questions or something. But I don't think he's going to be a villain again.
Yeah, or at least not like week to week. Him and
No.
Dreadnock. It seems like Dreadnock had his finale tonight as well. Question here for you, Davan. Where are you from?
Yeah.
From Sam.
Where am I from? I am from New Scotland.
New
Canada.
Scotland. Yes.
No, yeah.
The dark side.
I'm moving to Eastern Passage. Nova
there you
Scotia.
go.
So there we go.
Yes.
Eastern Passage, Nova Scotia now.
You're on that side of the bay or the harbor, I guess.
I was always on that side.
You're always on that side. Versus like, I get, because our mothers are first cousins, and my mom your mom grew up in Enfield, right? Like down in the.
No, she grew up in Windsor, where I grew up.
Windsor. Oh, okay. And mine grew up in like Halifax, like Northwest Arm area, which is the other side of the harbor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what that means, but anyway,
I can look across and see them.
See, yeah, they're over there. I don't know. I always hear the Dartmouth's the dark side or whatever that meant. But like
it just isn't as many lights.
Not as many lights. That's what they mean. Yeah. But okay, the Diviner, he's running amok. He's him and Dreadnock and evil Janeway start off this episode. Gwyn is not doing so well. I did like the turn here on the hologram Janeway, although we could kind of see it coming. Consider what we had seen in the earlier episodes. I like, as much as like, I think the Diviner, if he is kind of done, or if he's like at least not going to be a week-to-week main character, if he's not the Rita Repulsa of this show, where they're just constantly fighting the same bad guy forever, or the minions of the main bad guy, that I think that would be probably be good.
They'll definitely pick up that plot point again, but
yeah, I think we'll see the Diviner again. Thing. But okay, so we learned a lot in this episode, Davan, about like, I don't know why he waited until he had no real choice, I guess, but to tell her what the story was, what his mission is, what his history is. I don't know. Maybe he could have convinced her years ago if he had been telling her this from the time she was young, but he didn't. He kept all this from her. And he's not telling her even that, in the last episode, when he's he seems to be holding all the cards at that point, and all he really wants is her back, is a loyal sort of servant or progeny for him. And so we find out that in this episode that his people were encountered. There was a first contact from Starfleet, I would presume from Chakotay, or maybe not. We don't know that for sure. But Starfleet comes along.
That'd be my guess.
Around this year, I guess, because he's saying like at this point in time, which is 2383 or 2384 or something like that, that his planet is fine. Like what the fate has not been realized yet, but what will happen is Starfleet's going to come along, make first contact, and it's going to divide his people, because he kind of like what humanity thinks, like, like right now, like humanity's alone in the universe. We're kind of comfortable in our superiority. Like we're like the great civilization that we know of because we've never met anybody else. And that's kind of how he describes his people up until that point. And then it divides the people who would fight for the way it was versus those who would join with the Federation.
Gee, I wonder what side he was on.
Yeah, I think we got a good sense of what side he was on based on the description, and explaining that he's from the future. He's come back in time to change things, and that's how the Protostar got here, I guess. Still some things unexplained here, but yeah, the episode moves quickly. A lot, that's the big revelation. There was also just, I don't know, like a lot of moments of like the crew, like Dal and Rok-Tahk and Jankum and Zero, all kind of trying to help the miners, trying to deal in this zero gravity environment that they've been sort of left on Tars Lamora, and everything going on with that. And I just like, there was
trying to find a kitty.
Got to find the kitty. I also just like this moment where like some of the comedy that they throw in here. They find like these miner guys, and because they have not been dealing with like the translators for quite some while, and they're just happy to be able to talk to someone.
My name is George Slot.
I'm Frodo. After so many years, it's nice to finally talk.
Yeah,
George Slot.
My name is Georg. All those miners apparently were done by the guy who does the voice of Murph, which is D. Bradley Baker. Yeah, so he got to do a little bit more work in this episode. He got to like a little bit more of the character acting. We got a bit more team up here between Rok-Tahk and Jankum as they're kind of running through, trying to get the engine still running along.
That was a good scene.
Yeah, like I like how
you could interplex the manifold and
Jankum's like, listen, let me just do my thing. I'm gonna work my magic. Rok-Tahk's like, you remember I am pretty smart.
You know, I can't do more stuff than hold a door.
Right. And she explains we could reconfigure the engine, and he was just because he's kind of out of his depth.
Didn't know you could fix an engine by staring at it.
Yeah, I love that line.
Didn't know you could fix it by staring at it. Jankum kind of relents.
New plan. Jacob holds the door, and you do all of that.
Yeah, new plan. We're holding the door. I defer to you, Rok-Tahk, and you can get it going here, and that's exactly what she does. And like there's also like kind of the cutaway here where we go over to what's going on with Dal as he's trying to like save the miners, but he's struggling to kind of deal with it, like going to them one by one, because I guess the range of the universal translator that's built into the communicators is pretty limited. And there's a lot of people, a lot of like, the unwanted present that he has to get around to. So they end up devising this plan to turn like the ankle bracelets.
It's all right. You were talking.
It's okay. It was unintentional. The ankle bracelets into universal translators with the help of Zero here. My thing goes. Here he goes. Yeah, he kind of looks at the communicator and kind of has this kind of idea of like maybe there's a way we can kind of amplify this. So just good kind of problem solving things, and and they're like, I just need a moment here to concentrate. But Zero says,
We're all out of moments.
we're all out of moments as the diviner. He's figured out, hey, my proto drive's gone. I want it back. Progeny is not giving it to me. And so we got to deal with this. So I guess Dreadnock is like the first to kind of really come involved here, and he's ready to take on Jankum and Rok-Tahk. They look like they're not going to do so well, but it's not for naught.
He wasn't ready for that kitty action.
He was not ready for the unwanted, who come back here in quite some grand fashion. Let's see here. I just got to get these guys to come out. Here we go. Yeah, there she is. And this was a great moment.
Yeah, we now have a voice. Good for us, bad for you.
Good for us, bad for you.
And then they proceed to tear Dreadnock to pieces, which is rather impressive. Considering
that little kitty decapitates him.
Yeah, little kitty decapitates him. The claws came out literally.
Yep. Good for us. I just love that delivery. Good for us.
Bad for you. Jane was like, "Oh, the kitty's growing up here." Yeah. So
I was really hoping Kitty was going to join the crew, but you can't.
No, they were. I thought maybe some of these guys would join the crew, but no, they're like, you take that ship, we'll take this ship, and that's kind of how they kind of narrow this out. The Protostar is really only big enough for like, I don't know, a very small crew. It seems like it's like, considering we watched that episode of Deep Space Nine a couple weeks ago where they had 10 people on one runabout for a mission to the Gamma Quadrant that was like a 3-day trip. It seems like the Protostar is quite luxurious in comparison, but hey, who am I to say? And so they best Dreadnock gets his comeuppance. He gets his head ripped off, and he's loyal to the end.
Hopefully he's
will prevail.
Our diviner will.
Hopefully the 2 Star Wars characters are gone, because the rest of the show is fantastic.
Well, I think that these guys have served their purpose. I get that they are very like. I get that they're very Star Warsian. But that's okay. Like
it's General Grievous and Snoke,
or I would, yeah, he's kind of like a Snoke, or he's kind of like an Emperor Palpatine kind of a character or something like that. You know, and on the Protostar, Gwyn is like trying to move things around. She's trying to help the crew, and this is where the reveal that Janeway is not as corrupted as she it appears to be. She goes from emo Janeway very quickly. He goes, "Why didn't you warn me?"
I may have cheered. It's like, yeah, I knew it because I knew it.
Yeah, he goes.
Yeah, she was playing the whole time.
Because I only answer to Starfleet.
Yeah. You tell him, Janeway hologram.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's like a hand-to-hand fight that breaks out next.
Yeah.
You know, between these two.
That was a crazy hologram fight.
Upgrades.
Like I said, upgrades.
Upgrades. Yeah, and so like talking about these uniforms too, Davan, from last week. So what I've realized is that the kids, like they're all wearing cadet uniforms.
Yeah.
And she's actually wearing an officer's uniform. That's why hers has the actual
red cuffs. Yeah.
The red cuffs and that like just that red line that comes down the shoulders here. It's it's a little bit of piping, I guess, on the top. You know, it's pretty, but that seems not to be no longer the Starfleet de facto, as we see Admiral Janeway wearing a different version of the uniform and a communicator by the end of this episode. So this at least was what the uniform was when I guess Chakotay and the Protostar launched at some point in the past. On when exactly, we're not quite sure. Anyway, so she takes down the diviner. She cuts his throat. He's bleeding on the ground, and he's like,
basically,
yeah, he's not doing well, and like it's like the day is won, and he's like
pulls out his Ketracel white tubes.
Yeah, she like rips it out, and she's like, Gwyn, let's get these shields down, huh? And let's call it a day. But he's like, we can save our people, we can save our planet, and then she freezes.
He's on the Ketracel purple, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know what. Like, I'm still trying to understand his like health issues, and why he was living in
stuff going through the tubes is just that water tube he was sitting in that tank.
Okay,
same color,
but she doesn't need that. That's not part of their species.
No, he seems to be dying, and I suspect that's because of his trip through time.
Yeah, that's probably credible. So, again, like I since a lot of this is still unexplained, I gotta imagine we're gonna get more of the diviner in the future, but maybe not. Maybe not week to week, especially as it relates to Gwyn's story, because he's still very relevant there.
When they leave him at the end in that cave, he doesn't have those tubes, so he doesn't need them,
or he needs I don't know
them to generate his powers or something, because his face keeps glowing. He has like powers, but maybe that's just from those tubes or something. Yeah,
because when we first meet him, he's living in a fishbowl, and he can't seem to leave that. And but now he can, and I don't know, like what exactly is his health condition. But he's like, I can do more than tell you. Now that we have a holodeck, I can show you what is up. Right? This is all happening while Davan, Rok-Tahk, and Jankum are taking control of his ship, and he's like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but fire on the Protostar, so I can beam over and try it. And what I thought was odd a little bit was that when they're firing upon the Protostar, like this is the same part where diviners take in Gwyn through the holodeck.
Yeah, they don't notice at all.
They don't know. They don't feel the ship shake. They don't feel anything.
Alarms.
No, they're kind of oblivious to the whole thing.
I noticed that too, and that sort of took me out of it for a second. That was probably the one clunky.
That was like the one thing I think that they kind of glossed over, considering that this episode, both of these episodes had like 10,000 writers involved. Like because it was the same writing credits and director as last week. So it was the same staff, or maybe like somebody wrote part 1 and somebody wrote part 2. But this is where we kind of go over to the full holodeck of it all. And we see she gets to kind of like really see her homeworld for the first time, which is kind of like a cool looking planet.
It's really cool. Pretty flowers. I like it.
Kind of purplish, kind of golden. And it seems like a neat place to visit. You can see like the rings of some other planet, like sort of in the atmosphere, like maybe an orbiting moon or something like that, or maybe this is a moon of a bigger gas giant. But like it was cool. I just can't figure out why he wouldn't have told her this from the time she was young. There's no explanation.
The only explanation I can think of, because I agree for the most part, is he couldn't be sure that she would go along with the plan to destroy something the size of Starfleet and with the ethos of Starfleet. Or the Federation, I guess. Like, he wants to destroy the whole Federation, right? Not just Starfleet.
He wants to destroy, yeah. He wants revenge.
No, it is Federation. Like, he says they're all going to turn on each other and everything because I'll have their ships fire on each other, and that's his plan.
Yeah, his plan is to use the protostar against them. I guess to almost like what the plan was with Hugh and the Borg, when they were going to send Hugh back to sort of be a virus to all of the Borg. And I guess his plan was to use the protostar as a virus to the Starfleet fleet.
He's like, I'm doing them a favor. They'll be over the moon to have this ship back.
Yeah, right. But if that's the case, then he should have nudged Dal and all of them back towards Starfleet, hey, go off take the ship and go to the Federation. Or had he not put the virus into the ship yet? Was that what had not happened? Or
it's the only thing I can think of again as well.
Yeah, so they're glossing
he
over.
Needed to be there to activate it, or Dreadnock.
And again, this is a kid's show, and I guess they're not expecting kids to maybe pull this apart. But I think they also want it to be accessible to adults. And
these kids are pulling it apart.
We're saying, what the heck, man? Why didn't the ship shake when the phasers got fired and the shields got disabled? And she's but she's kind of absorbing all this, it's information she always wanted, and I think that Diviner as a villain, he is a villain fully, but you can kind of understand his motivations, which is what you want from your villain. That he's a time traveling guy. He says that Starfleet
Starfleet lit the fire and left us to burn.
Right.
Yeah, that threw me for a loop too. I thought what, they accidentally blew up his sun? Because remember that time they flew into that atmosphere and it blew up the whole planet on TNG?
Yes.
Because of their shuttle exhaust or something like that. I mean, it all turned out to be
I think that it was obviously a bad first contact, and I think that's what he means is that Starfleet was well, this is an internal planet, internal affair to your culture. We're not going to get involved. And I think maybe that's what he means, or maybe that's what happened.
Oh, what I think happened was half of them wanted to join the Federation and the other half didn't. It was a good first contact. So they're yeah, let's join this big group. But, half of them were isolationists that thought they were superior to everybody.
Right.
Kind of like Romulans.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, exactly. And that. So I don't know how far in the future he's from, but he said he does show Gwyn this.
He said 50 years later.
He said 50 years later, it's going to let's see, it's going to be. So I guess he's from roughly 50 years from now. I guess. So he's still his younger self is presumably alive, I would think.
Depends on your time travel paradoxes.
Yeah, but we see that the planet is kind of in ruin. It kind of looks like Titan in Avengers Infinity War. Kind of like
they said I was mad.
They said I was mad because I just wanted to kill half of all people. What was wrong with my plan?
When I had the power to double the universe's resources instead, but
yeah, but he might have been worried about those Celestials growing up inside the planets.
He also wanted them to be grateful. That was his whole side thing. He's the universe will be grateful.
Why they'll say Thanos was the greatest guy ever.
Yeah.
And so there's in the next pretty much Gwyn she's not convinced by any of this. She says
you can't trade one tragedy for another.
Yeah,
a worse one.
A worse one where he wants to
destroy 100 planets to save one.
100 at this point the Starfleet has 140 members in it.
There it is.
And then
all the non-member worlds that would be pulled in.
Yeah, exactly.
Truly a catastrophe.
Then Dal shows up in his boots.
His cat boots.
Oh. Yeah, he's cat boots. Are those cat boots? Yeah, but I love how like the diviner just like deals with him in like 10 seconds. He's just like,
See, there he's doing his face glowing powers. That must be what those tubes do. That's the only thing I can think.
I think it has to do with it has to do with their telepathic powers, I think, or their telekinetic powers, the way that they manipulate that metal.
I was really hoping that would go a different way.
Because he just gets completely like owned right away by the diviner. He's like, you come on.
He's no Quark with two phasers, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. But then this is when Zero shows up. You know, when it all seems lost.
Serious.
Zero.
How about this scene, Dave? How about this?
Yeah, it's time I show you who I truly am.
It's time I show you who I truly am.
I just watched. Is it In Truth No Beauty? There's In Truth No Beauty.
Is there In Truth No Beauty? Yeah.
Yeah, I just watched that like yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's the only other Medusan character was in that one episode. I think it's clever and interesting that they made Zero Medusan and that this is like a device and how it served the plot in this episode. Very clever on the part of these creators to incorporate this character, and the fact that Zero had all this resentment towards the diviner really kind of plays up this scene that's been building for 10 episodes. Because Zero hasn't had a direct confrontation really with the diviner at all, and just say talked about their fear of coming back to Tars Lamora, being used again, and what that could mean. But going right against her and then doing the whole taking it off. Now,
yep.
I
show you who I really am.
Yeah, you can see the diviner. He was starstruck by the whole thing. Not like the episode starstruck from the first.
He's been Medused.
He was Medused and not doing so well. What was it? So you watched that episode yesterday, and is there In Truth No Beauty?
Yeah.
From the original series, and Spock was able to look at him, sort of, right, with the goggles. Like Vulcans had less.
Oh yes. As long as he had the visor, it didn't affect Vulcans. But none of them had visors, so they were
right. But a human, there was even with the visor, could never. Look at them.
So who's to say if they had visors? Some of them could have been fine. The diviner could have been fine if he had a visor. But
maybe, yeah. But what ultimately gets Gwyn, because Dal's like, don't look, like you'll go mad, and she really wants to look. I don't know why they just close their eyes, but they're
just staring at each other.
They're just staring at each other, and it's the little reflection in his comm badge that ultimately gets her. Now at this point, she knows about the plot that the protostar is basically like a Trojan horse to to get the Federation, and so she when this
Trojan
hits her,
Hue. This is Star Trek.
Trojan Hue. Yeah, she's like. After the whole affair, she tells Zero, he tells Zero, shut it down. And she's like, we can't go back. We can never go there. We can never go there. Or you can just delete or get rid of whatever he's done to the protostar. Once you've eradicated that, you can go there. It's not a never go there. It's just we have to take care of business first. But anyway, I think that's because we obviously do want them to hook up with Admiral Janeway and see where that takes things and whatever. But it's looking pretty rough here for Gwyn, and you can see like this real connection with her and Dal. It's just been this kind of like contemptuous relationship largely. Although that they've had some playfulness, and they have the whole being in cat boots that goes right back to the beginning. But it's almost I don't know if it's romantic or not, but it's definitely
it'll probably get there eventually.
Yeah, I would think so. They seem to have a true connection, if not just best friends, right?
Yeah.
The next scene, we get the miners. They're taking the ship. Everything with the whole Janeway's log. Janeway's like, whoo, I don't even know what she says, like holograms log or something like that.
Like that.
Training holograms log. I was like, why does the hologram make a log?
Well, if you're the command hologram,
yeah. She shows the diviner. He's
make logs.
He's now the only unwanted, the diviner.
But yeah, no tubes.
No tubes.
And he's not gray anymore. No
Dreadnock for him anywhere. But this speech that she gives here at the end, I thought was really, really good. you know, she like it's a little bit of a montage. You know, we're seeing like Gwyn's sort of like recovering slowly from the exposure to Zero. Zero feels pretty bad about it. The only thing I didn't really like is I'm like they're kind of back in all their civilian wear again. So are the uniforms not here to stay? Was this just for like the
just away missions?
Just or just that one big mission?
I'm sure we'll see them again, but yeah, maybe this is just their downtime.
Right. Or it was just like so they come they're back into their normal garb. Except for Gwyn. She's in like I guess some kind of it's like a medical version. It's like a white version of her uniform. I guess that
medical gown.
Like a medical gown. This one with back.
Because she's still got the medical.
And she got like some kind of monitor, cortical monitor or something like that going on. But the crew's like, hey, you know, like even Dal, he's like, we're going back. We're going to Starfleet now. And we're going to find the Federation, which sounds like a good thing, but it's actually a bad thing because of what the Diviner told us and what he's done to the Protostar and what
she doesn't remember.
What she now doesn't remember because of that event. Conveniently enough, right? Mm-hmm. But that's, you know, it all seems well. They've beat the bad guy. They're ready to move on. And then we get this next scene with they go to warp.
But it's funny how Gwyn was totally right though. She's like, you don't need to destroy Starfleet. You just need to talk to them. Like if you just tell Starfleet, why don't you just if you come to my planet, we'll all die. They'll probably just stay away.
Yeah, they would probably say, you know what? All things considered, we'll hold off on first contact.
Give you one of those interdictions like the Telosians.
Exactly. And we did talk about the post credits. Well, it's not even a post credit, but it's like sort of this PS scene. We get it here at the end with the Trill there. A Trill officer. You know,
Andorian, a Tellarite. She's got a cool crew.
It's kind of a cool looking crew here on the Dauntless. Yeah, like as we mentioned, even this Trill officer, you can't really see there because Janeway's reaching for her coffee, but she's wearing almost like gloves actually. She's got these high red boots. Yeah, for someone who likes the uniforms and the evolution of the Starfleet uniforms, this was kind of a exciting thing for me in particular. Janeway's going for her coffee. She's an admiral now, a vice admiral to be more specific. And we see that doctor there with his, I guess he's got some kind of a vest or something, but she's looking for Chakotay. We got to find Chakotay. We got to get this figured out. And everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew we heard of the Dauntless before. The Dauntless was in Voyager.
Was that the ship that could like come into three? Is that the one with the Andy Dick?
It's the one. The Dauntless class starship. The Dauntless was the prototype for its. It must be. Yep, it is. Yep. So she's got Andy Dick as a medical hologram.
Maybe she had him replaced with the Robert Picardo.
She probably did.
Yeah. But we see the Protostar here sort of from the back right before it goes to warp. Looks, I don't know, like I don't really remember totally what it looked like, but where do you think Voyager is? You know, like do you think that they retired that ship and or
it's a museum,
like they kind of said in the finale?
Yeah, likely. And you know, they're probably pulling it apart and examining it because they've got all this Delta Quadrant Borg enhancements and stuff that they infused throughout the season. So I'm sure it's also a bit of a study piece.
Interesting. Yeah. And so the Dauntless is in here, but no other Voyager crew, no Tuvok, no one else seen with her here. So of the Voyager,
maybe B'Elanna's down in the end.
Maybe, we don't know that for sure. But we know. Here's what we know about the Voyager crew post Voyager. We know that Janeway got promoted to vice admiral. We know that Chakotay became a captain.
We know Tom's hobnobbing around the lower parts of.
Yeah, Tom Paris apparently is going around on USO
motivational tour.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the Kazons.
Yeah, let me tell you about Kazons and how to fight Kazons and Talaxians. Yeah, there's my Tom Paris quotes when I need them.
Kazon!
Kazon! Yeah.
Yep. So
I told you we're secret agents.
Harry's still an ensign,
Harry's probably still an ensign though, right?
I assume.
Yeah. And the rest of them we don't really know. At least I know there have been books and video games that have dealt with some of that, but you know that's the how factual that is somewhat up in the air. And that's the end of the episode. So maybe we can get to, I don't know, in terms of fun facts, there's too much else we haven't mentioned already other than Janeway's back.
How about fun predictions?
Fun predictions. What do you got?
Well, I'm just thinking Janeway's going to meet up with the Protostar, and then they're going to have their little conversation and probably a mission or two, and then they're probably all going to, those two are going to join forces and go look for Chakotay. That'd be my guess. I think those two will meet up before anyone finds Chakotay. That'd be my guess.
How do you think they're going to differentiate Admiral Janeway from Hologram Janeway? You know, once that
the haircut.
Just the haircut and the color and the uniform.
Yeah.
Okay. But personality wise,
downplay the hologram version too if the real thing's around.
Yeah.
It could also go the other way where the Protostar does find Chakotay by accident first.
Could be.
But obviously Admiral Janeway's not going to find Chakotay before the Protostar runs into one of them first.
No. Here he is.
Akuchi Moya.
Yeah.
What about when Janeway says it?
What about when Janeway says you know I have it. Akuchi Moya. Jane.
Akuchi Moya.
There she is.
Akuchi Moya. Coffee. I beat the Borg with it.
That's right. Okay, let's rate this episode. A Moral Star Part 2 as we finish out Season 1B. You gave 9 to Part 1, Davan. So think of what you're rating for this one.
Part 2's a 10.
Yeah, I think
It was my favorite episode of the series.
I liked this a lot. This was really rewatchable.
It is rewatchable. As good Star Trek is.
I'm with you on it. Let's just quickly see what the others are saying about it. Not that this is the gospel, but IMDb right now with only 31 votes, it is at a 9.2. So it seems like the audience is also responding well to it. And according to Memory Alpha, this is now 2384. I'm not sure how they know that. I guess if maybe the star date, because we had mentioned last week's star date seemed to be a bit of a little bit off. But they continue with it this week, the 6s, and that's where we leave off. So in terms of after 10 episodes, well, kind of more like 9 because Lost and Found, the first episode was kind of aired at once, and we rated it together. Right now, the average is 8.9. You and I are both at 8.9. Jessica at an 8.6.
That's because she hasn't got to rate this episode.
She hasn't had a chance.
2 actually, and they're the best one.
So that's throwing her off. But yeah, so I gotta tell you, everything about the show is really, really good for me. I the theme song gets me going each week. I feel like the show is and the crew is working for me. I get that maybe Diviner and Dreadnock are a little bit more Star Wars for the Star Trek purists, but I thought that they're fine. They're serving their purpose. I think they're gonna outstay their welcome eventually, but if they haven't already. I think that they
could have fixed some of my issues with that with just a bit of an altered design on them. I think.
I think just because Dreadnock looks so much like a General Grievous. I think that's not helping things. But it's not so much that it's bad that there's this guy named the Diviner and he has a robot sidekick or whatever.
No, that's fine.
That's fine. And I think that Jimmy Simpson and John Noble do good performances with both of these characters. And the whole cast.
It's the most epic line in the whole show.
Progeny. I have 3
Star
versions
Trek
of it.
Progeny.
Star Trek episode.
Progeny. My progeny. My progeny.
Ooh, it's a progeny mix.
I will make a progeny.
But the way that Janeway kind of finishes off the episode with her speech here, she's like, what does she say about Gwyn?
The diviner referred to Gwyn as his progeny, an offspring. But that word says nothing about who she is, nor what she's capable of.
Yeah, like I thought, like Janeway hologram gave a really good like little speech here at the end. You know, just talking about, you know, you can look. I think like what she says, you can look at this crew, you can look at these kids, and you can dismiss them at first glance. And I think like when I first saw the cast photo when it first came out, there's a new show on Nickelodeon, Star Trek Prodigy. I see these kind of weird looking aliens, not in Starfleet uniforms. There's no ship to speak of. There's no familiarity. And I go, what is this?
We don't know he's a Medusan from the picture. Like
you don't know that's a Medusan. You don't. I didn't even know that was a Tellarite. You know, that Jenkins was a Tellarite either. So I was like, what is this like going to be?
You could look at any of these kids, I mean crew, and dismiss them at first glance.
You could.
Yeah, she's like, she just like got us there, didn't she? She's like, yeah, right.
Yeah, I got to play that for Jeff, you know, because Jeff was like, what is this shit? You know, but she's
Janeway's on to you, Jeff.
She's on to you. Don't mess with Janeway hologram, Jeff. Yeah.
Each of them a prodigy in the making.
It's like the last episode. Douse is like, I know you're listening, hologram Janeway.
I know you're saying Prodigy. It's the name of the show. You got it in there for the thing. Yeah. And that's it. Like that was the end of the episode. I do have to get going because we got the Big Brother podcast. But yeah, this has been really a lot of fun. And I guess we'll be back to talk about the rest of Star Trek Prodigy in December or something like that.
Is it that far away? December? Huh.
I'm not exactly sure when it is. Like, I know it's going to be after Discovery season 4 and after probably Picard, and I would imagine Strange New Worlds as well. So, you know, depending on when you listen to these podcasts, you know, you might you might be binging this way in the future and going from episode 10 to episode 11, and there was maybe months in between. But so it'll be interesting to see how our take on that next episode will be. If you pick this up, but the first season is not over, believe it or not. Is more to come. What's going on with Chakotay? Where is he? Is Janeway going to be able to find him? I don't know.
Where's Jason Alexander?
I'm coming.
Yeah, Jason Alexander's supposed to be on the show, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, is he playing the same character again?
He gets like billing, like pretty high billing on like the voice actor list.
We're also supposed to get like Daveed Diggs too, right?
Who?
Daveed Diggs, he's from like that show Snowpiercer. He was also in Hamilton and
oh yes, okay, yeah. I know
he's supposed to be in this at some point as commander or something or other, but he might be that
Andorian. On Janeway's crew. Yeah,
maybe he's that Andorian. I don't know. So
maybe Jason Alexander's that Tellarite.
Maybe like maybe there's a whole crew we're still to meet.
He has like this awesome crew of voice actors. That'd be pretty slick.
Yeah, all new guys, all new like bridge officers.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. Okay, well, that's it for Star Trek Prodigy, episode 10 from season 1, A Moral Star Part 2. Thanks so much for listening and tuning in.
Sorry, I was late.
Oh, it's okay. And we're going to be picking this up whenever it's back out. As we mentioned, Star Trek Discovery is back next week, and I'll be talking about that with Michael Chen and Adam Woodward next Thursday. That's going to run, I guess, throughout February, and then in March, Star Trek Picard Season 2 will be kicking off. We know that Whoopi Goldberg's back, despite controversies of things she may have said on The View. But see if she's not suspended from Star Trek yet. Anyway, so we're bringing all that in. And what else? You should check out Davan's podcast. He's got Locutors of Trek. There's my logos.
Yep, Locutors of Trek. Just look up the Many Faces of Jeffrey Combs. Got a Debate 9 coming soon. The next episode will be on the astronomy of Star Trek.
The astronomy.
Mm-hmm.
Astronomy. That'd be fun. Just like, well,
words
there was that
end with Y are destroyed now, aren't they, Dave?
That is the constellation Babe. Okay, and then you need to be
and X-rated. We just had Marvel Comics artist David Cutler on the last episode. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Yeah, David
yeah.
Cutler. Yeah, So go check out all of Davan's podcasts. If you like X-Men, you like Star Trek. I'm sure you like Star Trek if you listen to this. So check out those two channels as well. Dave, who do you think will go on the block? I think that Teddy's going on the block, Sam. But I'll be here to talk about that in like
father?
No, another Teddy. Teddy Mellencamp, the daughter of John Mellencamp. Where's my
Teddy Puma Mellencamp?
All right. So we're going to sign off for tonight. Check out our other podcasts as well. We got Trivial Debates, a monthly show where we talk about movies, TV, sports, and more. You should check that Sunday. Check it out Sunday. Davan's hosting. I'm competing. Sunday. We also have Super Mater Brothers podcasting right now, talking about Celebrity Big Brother 3. But Teddy is not the dark horse, Sam. And she's going home week 1. And we'll see. And then we'll be talking about that tonight with Jaemeel Robinson and Jeff Mater as we're into episode 2 of Celebrity Big Brother. We'll also be talking about Survivor very soon as the new season 42 will be coming up in March. You should also check out our other podcasts, including Ozark. Jeff and I just talked about the beginning of season 4 of Ozark. We talked about the Beatles Get Back documentary that came out on Disney Plus not that long ago as well, and Marvel podcasts, including Hawkeye. And we'll be looking at doing what's that one? Doctor Strange or Moon
Knight's coming out.
Come on. Dave is my winner pick. Is it me? I hope so. Okay. Someone's progeny. All right. Did I forget anything? I
don't think so.
Okay. Well, we're going to sign off for tonight. I got to get to the newest episode of Celebrity Big Brother so I can speak intelligently to that in about an hour and a half. And thanks so much for tuning in and talking to me about this, Davan. Really appreciate it. And I think we'll come out here with a quote.
Kukuchi Moya.
You want the Hikuchi Moya?
No, make it a better one.
Okay, we're gonna go out with let's go out here with the Janeway hologram because it was so good. All right.
You could look at any of these kids, I mean crew, and dismiss them at first glance.
But
guilty as charged.